This PowerPoint will share aggregate findings from the General Education Competency Assessment for Oral Communication from the 2012 to 2013 academic year through the 2014 to 2015 academic year. Given that sample sizes for many of the assessment years are small, we have aggregated the results to better observe trends over time for student learning outcomes for general education competencies. In this PowerPoint, we will describe the oral communications competency as one of the 5 general education competencies measured at NC State and explain the process through which they were identified. Describe the overarching assessment processes for oral communication competency outcome assessment. Highlight aggregate results for oral communication competency. Discuss future directions for oral communication competency. These competencies were identified through a collaborative process which involved the representation of faculty, staff, and administrators from each of the 9 colleges at NC State. From 2011 to 2012, faculty convened in focus groups to develop definitions and strategies for assessing the 5 general education competencies. These definitions were vetted through Faculty Senate, the Council of Undergraduate Education, and the Associate Deans. For each competency, a team of faculty was assembled including faculty from a diverse range of disciplines and members with expertise in the competency area. From 2012 to 2013, the Office of Assessment, in partnership with faculty from across campus, developed and piloted rubrics with student work to assess quantitative literacy, oral communication, and written communication. In addition, we assessed writing, reading, mathematics, and critical thinking for first year and senior students using the ETS proficiency profile. The assessment process for critical and creative thinking, NC State's QEP, was also developed during this time, with fall 2013 as the baseline year. Here you can see an overview of where, when, and how general education competency outcomes are assessed at NC State. This information is also available on the NC State Office of Assessment website. In this section, we will provide the definition for each competency, describe the assessment process specific to that competency, and briefly share aggregate findings. Oral communication involves the ability to ethically and responsibly use verbal and nonverbal communication for clear expression of ideas and collaborative processes, engage in active listening, build, express, and justify a claim, and adapt messages to varying situations. Oral communication is assessed primarily through the application of a rubric to student products. We also consider indirect evidence in the form of student responses to NC State's sophomore, senior, and alumni surveys, which include measures of students' beliefs about the extent to which their education at NC State contributed to their development in areas related to oral communication. Additionally, we include responses from the National Survey of Student Engagement, which asks questions about students' opportunities to engage in activities related to oral communication. From 2013 to 2015, using student products from Com 110, an introductory public speaking course taken by a large number of NC State students, a team of faculty raters from across the colleges were trained to use a rubric selected by a team of experts in the field and scored 291 student presentations. Student majors and class statuses varied. As previously noted, we also consider student responses to NC State and national surveys. Overall findings suggest that NC State students are approaching proficiency in oral communication. First, taking a look at the NC State sophomore and senior surveys from 2013, respondents were asked, how much has your experience at this institution contributed to your knowledge, skills, and personal development in the following areas, on a scale of 1 to 4, with 1 being not at all and 4 being very much. For both sophomores and seniors, we see that mean scores are generally close to 3, indicating that students feel that their experience at NC State somewhat contributed to their skills and personal development along dimensions related to oral communication. However, we do see a trend in increasing mean scores from sophomore year to senior year related to beliefs about the extent to which NC State has contributed to oral communication competency development. Next, looking at responses from the 2012 alumni survey, participants were asked to rate the extent to which their college education contributed to their development of speaking to small and large groups, making presentations, and understanding written and oral information on a scale of 1 to 4, with 1 being not at all and 4 being very much. Respondents' mean scores for each element were close to 3, suggesting that they felt that their education at NC State had somewhat contributed to their development in these areas. Respondents were asked to indicate the frequency with which they engaged in the following activities related to oral communication on a scale of 1 to 4, with 1 being never and 4 being very often. For most of these activities, respondents' mean scores were close to 3, suggesting that they engaged in them often. Next, looking at direct evidence from the application of a rubric to student products, overall, student scores suggest that they are meeting minimal or basic expectations for oral communication. When we analyze student work at the dimension level of the rubric, we see that students performed better in the ability to select an appropriate topic from the audience and occasion, adapt the presentation to the audience, and demonstrate careful choice of words. There was more room for improvement in nonverbal behavior during presentations, ability to locate, synthesize, and employ compelling supporting materials, and in constructing an effective persuasive message. When considering these findings, it should be noted that there is quite a bit of variance in scores, and roughly 60% of the sample was made up of underclassmen. At the senior level, scores were generally proficient or above. Future plans for assessing oral communication competency will involve assessment at the senior level across disciplines using the selected rubric by trained faculty in their courses. We will then assess general trends of the growth between underclassmen and senior students. From our analysis of aggregate data from each of the competencies and survey data, we will continue to move forward with piloting the use of the oral communication rubric across disciplines with student products, particularly at the senior level. Additionally, moving forward, we will continue to engage in collaboration with faculty and programs across campus in order to augment general education competency data collection and student participation at NC State. For more information about the general education competency assessment process, please visit our website. Results from surveys included in this presentation, such as the sophomore, senior, and alumni surveys and the National Survey of Student Engagement, can be found on the website of the NC State Office of Institutional Research and Planning. For other questions or to provide feedback, please email us at dasa-assessment@ncsu.edu.